Hello, everyone, and welcome to 10 Minutes to a Better Building, a podcast from the building experts at Boland. I'm your host, Tyler Kern. Thanks so much for joining me today. Now, today on the show, we're discussing the importance of regular HVAC maintenance with Alan King. He's a service team leader at Boland. Alan, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me on, Tyler. I truly appreciate it.
Excellent. Well, I'm thrilled to have you on, Alan. And, today we're discussing an important topic, and that is the importance of HVAC maintenance. And, Alan, you've regularly described it like as a similar importance to regular maintenance on your car, right? Getting your oil changed and things like that. Can you explain that comparison for us and tell us how that comparison works as far as car maintenance and building maintenance?
Absolutely. You go change your oil at the proper intervals to keep the engine clean and performing properly. You replace the air filters, the oil filters and all to keep the engine performing properly. And the same with the air conditioning system in buildings. You keep the filters clean, keep the coils clean, and the systems could perform much better, keep people cooler, and keep your energy costs down. And all just same with the car. You let the filters get dirty, it's going to cost you more in gas and all. And with the price of gas going up, we all know how it's going now. So it's definitely an inspiration to do proper maintenance in the building and the car.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And you mentioned some of the types of maintenance that can be performed to HVAC systems while you were talking there. But just give us a better idea of what kinds of maintenance can be performed to HVAC systems in a commercial building setting.
Well, you want to keep the condensers clean. Typically, you think of the condenser as the outdoor unit. In some cases, it is outdoors. In some cases, it's inside the building, and they have water flowing through them. And with water, you have minerals in the water, so you have to do a water treatment to keep the condensers clean. And then typically once a year, you have to rod the tubes where you push a brush through to push out silt and mud and stuff that accumulates. They don't transfer heat that well. The same with changing filters. You can spend $1 for a filter, or you can spend $15 for a filter, and there is a difference. For my personal home, I buy the $15 filter. It's well worth the money. It keeps the system cleaner, and again, it's helping me. I'm saving that amount of money on the electric bill. So. Again, you want to do that in commercial office buildings.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and I think like most things in life, you get what you're paid for, right? And if you spend more on the filter up front, like you mentioned, there can be energy savings on the back end of that, right? And so
Yes.
just taking into account the performance of the overall system, sometimes it can be better just to go with that better filter because it helps you out in the long run.
Yes, you're exactly right. It keeps the system cleaner. You don't have to do as much maintenance on it, and all. So it serves us much better to spend a few extra dollars for something like that. Some of the other maintenance that needs to be done on commercial systems, a lot of them have like fan belts, much like your car engine has belts on it. You have to replace those and make sure they stay properly tensioned and all. Because if they start slipping, now you're going to start using more energy again, and you're not moving enough air to keep people in the building comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a building owner, that's the last thing you want, is to hear from your tenants that they're uncomfortable. Because some of the contracts that are written in these buildings nowadays, the tenants get to go home and they don't have to pay, for the lease for that month possibly. So, so it's a wise property manager that takes care of the air conditioning system. That can be one of the most expensive aspects of the building itself.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Alan. And it sounds like just from what we've talked about so far that the benefits of performing regular maintenance are both financial and also performance, right? There's a duality there of you get benefits on both sides when you are performing regular maintenance. Is that true?
Yes, that is very true. Um, you keep the building within the proper design parameters, the right temperature, the right humidity. Um, you're not going to have problems. You hear about buildings where they find mold in buildings, and
Sure.
that comes from an accumulation of water, moisture. And the air conditioning system, when it's not performing correctly, cannot pull the moisture out of the space. So it accumulates, and now you have a mold issue,
Mm.
which can be huge. It can be a huge financial challenge for some building owners.
Absolutely. No, mold is not something that is not a word that I think any building owners or operators ever want to hear ever in their careers. So, Alan, as we talk about regular maintenance, there's also safety measures to talk about when we discuss this topic, right? So, what kinds of safety measures should be taken when you perform this maintenance? What should building owners and operators know when it comes to safety?
Well, when you go in to say check the fan belts, you wanna turn the fan off. You want to turn the disconnect off that feeds power to the fan starter, the fan frequency drive, whatever it's being used, to make sure that it cannot start while you're putting your hands in there. You don't want to take a chance on losing any fingers or anything like that. Um, and so you're going to put your hands on the belt, and like I said, if it starts on you, it's not going to be good. So you're going to put your hands on the belt, roll it around, and see that it's properly tensioned. um, you're going to look at, see if there's the bearings are properly greased. In a
Hmm.
typical office building, you only have to grease them once a year, and all
Right.
they some people grease them once a month, and that's far too much.
Hmm.
um, but you want to check the electrical connections inside the fan starter to make sure they're good and tight. You want to do this with the power turned off, um, and because again, it would be a horror story for someone to get hurt, in my opinion. Um, the maintenance of the outdoor, like I said, again, if it's got a air cooled coil outside, you want to make sure it's clean. You want to check over the electrical components, again, making sure the power is off first and foremost. Um, Check the fans, make sure they're, um, you know, not cracked or failed in any manner. So it just simple things like that can add to the life of a system and save money in the long run.
Absolutely. Add to the life of the system, save money in the long run. I think those are things that building owners will certainly like to hear. And as you mentioned, taking those safety measures to make sure that an accident doesn't happen as well, that would also be something that building owners and operators obviously wouldn't want to see happen either. And so
Yeah.
these are all excellent points, Alan. And I wonder, just from Boland's perspective, how valuable can the advice and the expertise of a company like Boland be to owners and operators who are thinking about, okay, what kind of maintenance schedule should I be on? What sorts of safety measures can I take? Can can a company reach out to Boland, or can a building owner operator reach out to Boland and say, hey, I need advice when it comes to maintenance, and I need to know kind of what the best practices are?
Yes, absolutely. They can call on us, and we can send somebody by to talk to them and to advise them.
Mm.
There are some air conditioning systems out there that are very simple, um, the way they operate, and don't need a lot of input. Whereas there are others out there that are quite complex, and um, you may want a visit at least once a month to check the system out to see that it's performing properly.
Mm.
We just recently signed a contract agreement with a customer where they want one of our servicemen on their job 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, and which is very unusual. It's the first time we've gone down this path, and chances are it's not going to be the last. The way the business is changing. So again, to go back to your question, yes, we at Boland would be more than happy to advise people on the proper maintenance of their system, the frequency of the need for the maintenance also.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Alan, as we wrap up today, just wanted to give you the opportunity to touch on any topics that we haven't talked about when it comes to maintenance, HVAC maintenance yet here on the show, or just wrap us up with a summary statement of the benefits of performing regular maintenance. Anything that you want to say before we sign off today, just to tie a bow on this episode?
Sure. If you take the time to take care of the system like you should, chances are your tenants are going to be much more pleasant when you come visit the building, when they see you come in, because they're going to be comfortable. Like I said, I've gone into buildings myself where the air conditioning wasn't working, and I mean the tenants were less than pleasant, even with me. So it's something you have to deal with. So, it's like I said, one of those things you just must take care of the equipment to take care of the building and save money over the long haul.
Yeah, take care of the building and take care of the HVAC system, and it'll take care of you, right? I live in Texas, and I know that if something went wrong with the air conditioning in the building that I'm in, there'd be a lot of unhappy people come July and August here in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's an important thing. So Alan King, Service Team Leader at Boland. Alan, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing a little bit more about regular HVAC maintenance, the importance of it, and the benefits that it can provide.
Thank you, Tyler. I appreciate you having me on. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you again, Alan. And thank you all of you for listening to this episode of 10 Minutes to a Better Building, a podcast from the experts at Boland. Of course, you can always go to Boland's website for more insight, for more expertise from the good folks at Boland. And you can subscribe to the podcast to stay up to date with the insights provided here on 10 Minutes to a Better Building. Quick and easy way to learn a little bit more about how to have a more efficient, effective, and just all around better building. And so subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and stay up to date with the latest, and stay tuned for upcoming episodes. We'll be back soon with more of those. But for my guest today, Alan King, I've been your host, Tyler Kern. Thanks so much for listening.